In my first book, The Cosmo Way, Volume 1, The Detox, I tell a story about a crazy experience I had with one of my personal training clients back when I was living in San Diego. And I want to briefly share it with you because I think it shows you how you can use your struggle, your problems, your opposition, and your adversities to your advantage instead of falling victim to them. So the story is about a client who I will call Vanessa. All right, and Vanessa was referred to me by a previous client I had trained. And on the very first day we met, she came into the office for a consultation. And she was angry, she was sad, she was motivated, all at the same time. Because Vanessa had recently been ditched by her fiance who called off the wedding at the very last minute. And he didn't give any explanation to why he did the shit. So she was pissed. And rightfully so. And after discussing her goals, it was obvious that she wanted revenge. ASAP. Her primary goal was revenge and her secondary goal was weight loss. And she wanted to get back at him immediately. And to be real, I thought it was sexy how she was using her struggles as her fuel, you know? So I commended that. I'm like, yeah, I can rock with her. But I've had other clients who came in and, you know, they was on some emotional high and, you know, talking about they want to get into shape and this and that because something had happened. But how I knew Vanessa was different, how I knew Vanessa was serious, was because she was one of the only few clients who started training the very next morning. She was about that life. But what really surprised me, this is the kicker, was when she arrived the next day, she came with a special request. And you'll never guess what it was. So it's 5:30 a.m. And we had just stretched and we getting ready to start our warm-up exercises when she stopped me and she said, Cosmo, I have something to ask you. She then retold her story about her ex-fiance and how he was wrong and he wronged her and how everything was his fault. She was pointing the finger at him saying, you know, he did this and that and, you know, basically trying to win sympathy from me. But I interrupted her because, you know, she telling me the whole story again. It's like minutes after. I'm like, yo, listen, cut to the chase, Vanessa. Okay, what is it that you need? What do you want? She then told me that her fiance, well, her ex-fiance now, his sister was getting married and had invited Vanessa to attend the wedding. But here's the kicker. She wanted me to go with her ass to the sister's wedding in order to make the ex-fiance jealous. And my initial response to her request, after I stopped laughing my ass off, was, oh, hell to the no. I'd seen too many domestic violence cases where the side chick or the side guy end up shot up, beat up, stabbed up, or just caught up in some, you know, in some crazy ass love triangle. And they end up an innocent bystander. And they ain't even have shit to do with it. So I was like, fuck that. So as she began to see that she couldn't convince me with her words, you know the next move. She hit me with the infamous crocodile tears, fellas. The half real tears that women give men when they want something, when they want pity. So I can't even front. To make a long discussion short, I ended up caving in. You know, I'm a man. I hate seeing a woman cry. But I'm like, okay, I can dig that. I can see this as a win-win situation though. So I gave her an ultimatum. The ultimatum was that if she lost 15 pounds in 5 weeks, then I would escort her to the wedding. And I also hit her with 2 stipulations. 1, ain't gonna be no form of intimate contact between us while at the wedding. I ain't want to spark his, you know, inner Ike Turner. You know, and number 2 was we had to leave before the wedding celebration ended. I wasn't even trying to get caught up in the parking lot. You feel what I'm saying? We got to leave early. Fast forward through the training. Now it's 5 weeks later. Not only did she lose 15 pounds, she lost 18 pounds. It was like 20 pounds she lost. And by this time, the wedding was 1 week away. And you have no idea how much I wanted to skip town and go into hiding. I was about to turn into the Black El Chapo around this bitch. They would have called me El Cosmo. Man, you have no idea. I was like, fuck that. But I kept thinking to myself, like, shit, what did I get myself into? But to sum up the story, I did go to the wedding, and he was there, and the nigga was heated. You could see it all in his eyes. You know when a motherfucker's jealous. It was written all over his face. Meanwhile, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm trying to check for the exits, all my escape routes out the building. I'm like, hey, what the fuck am I gonna do if this dude come and get at me? Because it's only me against his entire family and friends. You know what type of courage it took to go to that event by myself? It was only me and Vanessa. I ain't know no other motherfucker there. His whole family and friends was there. It was his wedding, his sister's wedding. But luckily, by the grace of God, everything went as planned, and I made it home in one piece. But I swore never to get myself into any such situation ever again. And looking back, the whole thing was a bittersweet experience. It was sweet because she lost the weight, she paid for all the expenses, my tuxedo, my shoes, and my time. But it was bitter because for 7 stressful weeks leading up to the wedding, it was torture because I wanted to call it all off, but I couldn't. She already had one man, run from a commitment. How would I look doing the same shit to her again? And I'm glad I didn't, because when it was all said and done, we laughed about it, but more importantly, I had helped another person reach their goals and rebrand their life, so ultimately, it was all a success. But the moral of the story is, there's beauty in the struggle. You don't run from it. You embrace your struggle. You embrace your problems. You embrace them haters. That's your fuel. Vanessa could have keyed up his ride. She could have burnt up his clothes, got on her Lisa Left Eye Lopez shit and burnt up his whole crib. Now, I'm not saying it would have been justified, but who would blame her? But let's think practical. How would that even have benefited her? It wouldn't have. So instead, she made the right choice and embraced her struggle and rebranded her life. So I'm telling you, you fall in love with your struggle, because every test is your testimony. You look up and you get up and you don't ever give up.
My bitch a choose it.